All right. Here we go. We are live. We've got the merman. He flew across the pond. We've been waiting forever, and we've got our VIP guest. When he comes on here, he's always electric. Oh, he's ready to go. Rear Admiral is with us, of course, all presented on Game Notes Daily with our great sponsor, presenting sponsor, TheScore Bet. Merles, take it away.
Hey, TheScore Bet, it's the best sports book for the hockey obsessed. We have specials every day from the Chicklets crew all season long. We have the better odds. We have everything better. But remember, always play responsibly. 19 plus, Ontario only. Gambling problem, call Connects Ontario at 1-866-531-2600. I tell you who doesn't have a gambling problem is our guest, Rear Admiral. Because he has a 40-1 ticket on the Florida Panthers to raise that jug in the next couple weeks here.
Yes, he does.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dog. Didn't mean to cut
I was going to say, yes, you do. And I saw you gave a rundown that you've put out on Twitter. I saw. Give us your rundown of how you think the series is going to go as we get Merle sorted out. He's in Vegas now. We're trying to get him sorted out. I'm in my car at a lacrosse tournament right now, so this is just insanity. I'll talk about it in a bit. But talk about your rundown of the series, your Cats play, everything, because this is panning out. Everything's coming up RA.
Yeah, I mean, Chicklets being Chicklets, of course. Merle's is probably in an airport terminal right now. You driving, me and my – actually, I'm the only one who's in the right seat right now. It's kind of funny. Usually I'm the one screwing up. But, yeah, we got to go back to February 10th. And, I know I take more than one or two teams for futures, but I looked at Florida. They were in 10th place. They were 40-1. And I said, I'm going to throw a bob on them and a few other teams, but not too many people I don't think had Florida at 40-1 on that date. And they're live as hell right now. And it's not just because I have them. I feel like I've seen this movie before, Army Merles, with this team just on this roll, and there's really not much that I don't think can stop them. I'm going to pound the shit out of them in Game 1 tonight, and I think it's going to go. I think they're similar to the last two series. I mean, they went into Toronto, won Game 1 and 2, went to Carolina, Game 1 and 2. Boston, they lost the first game, won the second one, won the series, of course. I think they're going to do the same thing. I think they're going to go out. I think Vegas, as veteran as they are and as much jump as they had versus Dallas, I think that they're going to feel probably a little more pressure at home, whereas Florida's just going to kind of be in that easy-peasy mode they've been. I can see them, stealing tonight, winning tonight, maybe stealing Game 2. Vegas gets one back. Florida goes up 3-1, and then Florida goes back, wins it on home ice.
I saw that. That was your full breakdown. I was looking at it. Merles, I was looking at it going, I don't see it going that way. But RA's been crazy. Ever since he almost got kicked out of the game against Boston, which obviously he was on the Bruins. Yes. But then all of a sudden his Cats get through, escapes, and they've just been on a tear since. Merles, do you see it going any way like RA sees it?
No, I'm going to be on Vegas first round. Is my sound still not great? Sorry, I'm in Vegas, and I found a little office near the practice rink because I'm going to shoot over there as soon as we're done here to see if I can sniff out any inside scoops or anything. I know they're not morning skating Vegas tonight or today, but RA, you'll be happy to know. When I got in last night, I went over to where the Cats are staying. I had to check the casino floor, make sure none of the players were out and protect your 40-1 ticket. So there was no players out. I threw a little dice. I played a little blackjack, and I got my feet wet.
Not you, Merles. I mean, did you see that stat I put out a little while ago? Teams that own a 1-0 series lead in a best-of-7 Stanley Cup final hold an all-time series record of 63-20. That's a .759 winning percentage. That's fucking insane, guys. I mean, I can't imagine every other round is that high. I mean, this game tonight, imagine 3 out of 4 teams that win Game 1 go on to win the Cup. I mean, this is a monumentally huge game.
So this brings me to my stat that I sent you guys, or at least, I don't know if RA got it. Sorry, I sent it to G and Merles, but I saw it the other day, and it's teams with 9 or 11 days off to start the final, and only one team has won the Stanley Cup or won that series for the final. And a lot of it has to do with that Game 1 win. Totally, the whole thing almost does. So it's crazy you bring up that stat, because when I looked at that with the amount of days they have off, 10 days off for the Cats, do you think that spells like like a warning shot right now for you a little bit. Merles, definitely you. Like I'm looking at that, I'm going, okay, I think Vegas has a little bit of obviously an advantage with a little bit less time off. But for the Cats to get out of the gates running, you have them winning game 1, RA.
I do. I think they're basically even money, plus 110, depending on where and when you get it. But yeah, I mean, based on if the theory that if they're going to win the series, if I like them for the series, then theoretically you're going to like them for game 1. And this is something I always do. I think Burrows. I probably mentioned this before to you. Anytime I bet a series, I always bet the team in game 1, whether it's the cup or the first round, whatever. So yeah, the layoff. I mean, it is 10 days. It's a long time, and I have those stats you sent over right here. It was the Mighty Ducks 03, 11 days off. Lost game 1, lost the series. 06 Oilers, 9 days off. 07 Senators, 9 days off. Both game 1 lost, series lost.
There it is.
2019, oh, there we go. 2019 Bruins won the game, lost the series. But then last year, the Avalanche won game 1, won the series. So I don't know if there's any – this is one of those things that different teams – I don't really put a ton of validity into that sort of trend, I guess. But I just don't see Florida shutting off the mental switch, especially when, Matthew Tkachuk has these guys in gear for the last 3 months here.
I know, and I wish I could see the chat right now. I'm trying to flip back and forth off our feed. I'm on my phone, so it's a little bit different setup. Thank you for hanging with us. Please go to Chicklets YouTube. Go to the live area in Chicklets YouTube page where you'll see us streaming this right now. Click subscribe. We'll get those subscribers up. Hit notifications. We'll be here every game day. But I think you're right, RA. I think if there's any X factor, which we'll get to later, for them, it's kind of the mojo and kind of the swagger that Tkachuk has just brought through this playoffs. And I think he'll just drag his guys into it. I don't know. Like, I think the 10 days is a lot, Merles, but I think like the Tkachuk factor of like the way he carries his team can kind of overcome it. Cause I don't know. I think he's commanding this group right now. And like nothing seems to phase them because he's such a beast. He's such a beast right now. He's a maniac.
Yeah, that the 10 days is really why I kind of like Vegas. I have them in 5 games. I have a special boosted on Barstool for that, up to 575. I think they were a team, and the goalie especially was in that. There it is. What were you calling it? In the zone, RA? And 10 days off down in Florida, that can kind of take you out of that. You're traveling all the way to Vegas. When I think of Vegas, I think of Carolina's D-core. That's a really tough D-core, big, hard. But Vegas has the big goal scorers. They got the Eichel, Stone, Carlson, Marcia show. That Carolina didn't have as many guys like that. So I really like Vegas. And the other reason, everybody in the world's picking it to go 6 or 7 games. So I'm going against everybody. I think it's going to be a quick series. And the main reason I picked 5 games is because the whole crew will be here.
Yes.
And I want to see the cup raised. So if we can get the cup raised while we're boots on the ground, would just be the topping of the season and the cherry on the top of this whole Chiclet season.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing better than actually being there and witnessing when the Stanley Cup rolls out. If it comes to fruition with that, Merles, that there's honestly, as a hockey fan, if you're there to watch that, it's incredible. So I was in Vegas the last time they were in the final and saw Washington hoist the cup in Vegas. Oh. So to see that was just amazing, to be at the game and see when they bring out the Lord. G, you got something here?
Yeah, we got a little breaking news here, guys.
Is it the Babcock?
I wouldn't say this is official, but Mike Babcock expected to become the next head coach of the Columbus Blue Jackets.
Wow.
Thought I was going to have to make a skullet appointment there for a second.
Wow. Yeah.
There it is right there. There's some breaking news, some big news. Mike Babcock has new life. He's back in the NHL again. Columbus Blue Jackets. Johnny Gaudreau gets rid of Daryl Sutter and out of Calgary and signs a massive deal. And we'll see if Babs can come back in. There's no question that he's a good coach, right? He the experience, the command he has, I think there's no question. It's can he handle the modern day player and deal with the modern day player? I think that's massive news, though, and like huge for the Metro Division as teams look to, we've got to the Dubas news, obviously. We see how some of these teams are moving on, like the Devils and, Rangers seem to be there every year right now. Carolina seems to be a team that's there. And what can Columbus build with some of the guys that they have and now bringing in Babcock? What's your take on this? I guess we'll start with our guest. We'll start with RA.
Yeah, it felt like he was going to probably get back sooner or later. He certainly didn't do anything. I know his name got bandied about as being a mean coach or whatever, but he certainly didn't do anything where he couldn't get back in the NHL, especially what's happened since his last coaching gig. But, I mean, his track record is what it is. I got to think he might have, maybe learned a couple lessons or, might have to adjust a little bit, especially he's kind of known as a hot ass. And, we talk about coaches all the time on Chicklets about how they need a softer touch. And unless you're a very well-established old guy, they're not really going to listen to you. And even with Sutter, I mean, he's out in Calgary now. So I think the expiration date on that type of coach is really getting closer. But I'm interested to see how he works out with this team. I mean, he's a brilliant hockey mind. I think there should be an initial bump for him because he's going to, force them to do things maybe the last coach wasn't. But I'm interested to see what Columbus does here because is he going to still be the same old hot ass with, kind of wears guys down, or is he going to try to maybe soften his touch with a lot of young guys on this Columbus roster?
Yeah, I mean, if you think about what Marty St. Louis said in your interview that just went on regular Chicklets, which was awesome, he talked about that
he's the best.
How coaching the kids is all different now. It's all changed, and I think what happened to Babcock, he learned a lesson and will change things. Somebody came into my DMs a few days ago and gave me that little tidbit, and I kind of brushed it off. I should have maybe dug into that. I could have had broken the news.
That's off the radar a bit, right? For some of the coaches on the coaching carousel, because he's kind of been out of sight, out of mind for a number of years here. I know he was back in my hometown helping out initially with the University of Saskatchewan Huskies in U Sport up in Canada in the University Hockey League, helping out with that team. And then he kind of just, has been off the radar. So a pickup and a big move and a big name for sure right there by Columbus if the contract gets done and everything gets settled.
Guys, I got to ask. So, RA, this past week you made a bet with us that if Peter Laviolette is not named the coach of the New York Rangers, you will get a skullet. Now, this week there's been some news coming out that the Rangers have interviewed John Hines and they're moving along in that process. Are you nervous at all? Are you backtracking? Where do we stand on the skullet Peter Laviolette RA bet?
Not nervous at all. I checked in my source, and he didn't seem to think anything changed. Obviously, the situation with John Hines changed, and I think Chris Drury is just doing his due diligence. I don't know, did he actually have Hines in for an interview? I know there was permission given. I haven't seen if he actually interviewed him yet. I know Peter Laviolette's had more than one interview, several in fact, so I would say he's probably still the leader in the clubhouse. I'm not worried yet. I won't worry until they don't hire him, I guess you'd say, but, Hines, like I said, Drury's going to do his due diligence. I know media loves to, these guys play together at BU, but that doesn't, at the end of the day, it doesn't really mean squat, I don't think. I mean, you got to hire the guy that's best for your team, and if it's not John Hines, then it's going to be Lavy, but...
Skullet, let's go. Tommy firing it off in the chat. Love the interaction with everyone in the chat, no question. Hinesy just kind of came... Hey, Heinze came in the picture, right? Nashville makes a big move. They go another direction. Trotzy's making a little splash, talking about teams, his scouts going for it, hitting some homers and taking some chances, and they go another direction, with the coach. And Heinze comes on the market. It's worth it to talk to him. What are we saying?
Great tell us about
here. My brother's new gig. Yeah, so my brother, director of player development, just announced yesterday by the Philadelphia Flyers. Thanks for that question, Snides. With the Philadelphia Flyers. So Battle of PA is on like mad right now. I'm here in Pittsburgh, working in the Pens, doing Pens coverage. He's in Philly. He was in Lehigh Valley in the American League team, but now it's official. He's up with the Flyers, working with their prospects, going to run things there for them with Danny Briere, and Keith Jones is president of hockey ops. So it's, it's an interesting setup with us both now being here in Pennsylvania, guys, but a guy and a good story. I think G threw it out there. They're going to get him on Chicklets or maybe Game Notes. We'll get him on. Talk about him. Undrafted in junior, undrafted in the NHL, ended up getting 2 NHL games, played in Finland, Germany, Sweden, the KHL. Where else was he? He was all over the place. He played in the East Coast League, the American League, and got those 2 games with San Jose in the NHL. So he's kind of been all over the place. Started coaching in Wheeling, then went to start the Maine Mariners with Danny Briere. Which was weird because it was a Comcast thing to put a team back in Portland, but they were affiliated with the Rangers. So it was kind of an interesting setup right there. And then obviously getting the job in Lehigh as assistant coach and now graduating on to be the director of player development. So I'm pretty proud of him. It's been a long journey. He's done it fairly quick. but he's a grinder and a hustler. But what else can I say? Fuck the Flyers, right, boys?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Ben would
Good
agree
stuff,
because he's
man. Good stuff.
Ben Mettello's got you Army for Penn's GM.
Yeah,
I've been pushing for that too.
Yeah, I'll have to reach out to Dubas. Boys.
What does that, like, your brother's gig? Will he like live in Philadelphia and be there, or is he like kind of just based and travel to OHL and college games in Europe?
Yeah, he'll be based. He doesn't have to move apparently, and he'll be majority, I think, in Lehigh, working with a lot of their prospect guys down in the American League and dealing with that. And then from there on, he can travel into Philly. He's not far from Philly, obviously. And him and Nick Schultz. Remember Nick Schultz, longtime NHLer?
I coached against him that year I was coaching. He was coaching the Philly Junior Flyers. Yeah, so I coached against him. We scheduled a bunch of games with him. He was a great guy to talk to. We had a good night in the lobby of the hotel the one night. So he's a good guy.
Classic coaching move. So him and my brother will kind of run as they're kind of 1 and 2 there on the development side in running that. But fairly new news coming down from Philly. Lots of news breaking around the NHL like crazy. We had Leaf news. We had a new GM named. We have the Penguins news. We've got this Babcock thing happening. We've got Nashville news. So there's been lots of action, RA, around the NHL, all leading. What, you got something else, G? Breaking news again?
I was going to say, why don't we bring in Migsy right now, our established Vegas insider.
Yeah, keep popping in here as I'm on my phone so I can check the messages. There he is.
The boy.
Vegas insider, Migsy. He's got boots on the ground with. Are you in another room? Where's Merle's? Is he in the room next door?
Merle went up. No, the Merle. Can everybody hear me? The Merle went off the grid. He's at some. He's like, I got some office I'm going to. He's out of here.
He's grinding.
Last night. He might be. That phone might be going out. He might be at the craps table.
I was gonna say, I can hear slot machine bells in the background.
Yeah, he's probably. Yeah, we went over. He landed, scooped him. We went over to the casino there, and Merles was in right into form, throwing the dice overhand, hit the horn high aces, made friends with the guy next to him. You know, he was moving. Had a drink.
Merles got Merles.
Yep, got him a big meal, a little chicken parm and pasta. So he's ready. He's ready for the day.
Ready.
But he's off the
I'm
grid
interested, Migsy. I'm interested your take on this. Obviously, series starting up tonight in your city, in the Golden Knights territory. You know, RA's big on the Cats. He's been riding them ever since his Bruins got smacked out of there. And obviously he's riding that future he has. But how do you see this series starting? How do you see this series going? Let's spend it over to you. You're our insider. What do you got?
I mean, you got to go. If anybody's going to agree with how RA's running, it's got to be you, Army. I mean, RA's not going to jump off the ship. I mean, they're slaloming the icebergs throughout this whole entire thing, and he's been getting good. I think that, I mean, you know, the whole conversation, Russ, that whole thing, I don't really know. I mean, obviously, if you're in Florida, you're going to be hitting the golf ball around a lot. But like Witt said 100 times, it's great when you have some days because you kind of maybe get a little bit better and hang out and things like that. But I like Vegas tonight. I think that, that place is going to be absolutely bonkers. There's already people. It's 90 degrees already. There are already people down there setting up. Yep. There's already there's a concert with some big DJ before it. So the place is going to be going bonkers. You know what I was thinking? I really like this series just because no one's injured. You know, we don't really have any of these like weird injury concerns like, oh, well, will this guy? I mean, obviously everybody's kind of beaten up this time of year, but there's nothing where it's like, oh, Sam Bennett's got a bad groin or, this guy in the Knights has a bad hand. And then that's all the speculation. So these guys are coming in healthy. The Knights just absolutely steamrolled Dallas that last game, which I think helps their confidence. Can Bobrovsky handle it? Can Bob stay on the way he is? If he does, I think it's a tough nut to crack. I like Vegas tonight. I think that they probably get the first one, but I don't know if they'll go 2-0 at home. I hope, I hope is obviously a Vegas guy, but it's going to be a tough game, man. It's just, you never know how you're going to be able to handle Kachuk. I mean, he's just a monster. Yeah. And then, where's Barkov in and how does he kind of contribute? But I think depth probably goes more toward Vegas.
Yeah, and I look at the season series. They played twice. Both teams won a game, 4-2 and 2-1. Last game was March 7th. In the first game in January 12th, Roy Eichel, Carrier, Carlson, empty netter goal, which was also a power play goal. Reinhart and Cousins score the 2 goals in that 4-2 Vegas win. They got a power play goal too, with a Reinhart goal. In game 2, March 7th, 2-1, Florida wins. Lomberg and Barkey score, and Theodore with a power play goal for the Golden Knights. So power play being a factor in both games. Do you see it? Do you guys see it being a factor in this series? And I think if I have to lean towards it, I don't know why, without looking at stats, I lean towards Vegas's power play being a little bit more of a difference maker, just with the manpower they have. Stone in front, those little pop passes and plays they have in and around Pietrangelo or Theodore up top. I don't know why in my head. Maybe I'm being biased because I'm on the Golden Knights, but you see that being a factor at all in this series?
I would say not too big of a one, because as we know, Vegas is the least penalized team in the NHL during the regular season. So I think the refs are going to put the whistles away a little bit more than
I hope
seen.
so, because these teams are both physical. So
let them play. Let this be a war of attrition or whatever you say there, and let them play. So I'm hoping the power play is not that big of a storyline.
All right.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny when you think of the Florida power play the last couple of series. They haven't really been effective at all. Yeah. They can't really get set up well, and you can give the other team. Certainly, Carolina's penalty killing is outstanding. That has a big part of it. But I think back to Boston in 2011. I don't know if they even had a power play goal through the first 3 rounds, or they might have had one for 35, and then they actually kind of finally put it together in the cup, the last round versus Vancouver. But going back to Miggs' point about the goaltending, I think it's the question is not can Bob handle it. It's can Adin Hill. And I think Adin Hill has been a great story. It's funny how he said no one's heard it except for the first 3 Vegas goalies because they're down on Adin Hill, and he's been stellar. I mean, it's like I said, they picked him up for a 4th rounder last year. Terrific story. But I don't see that he's had to steal either a game or a series for this Vegas team yet, where we've seen Bob do it numerous times already. And I don't know if he's been completely challenged as much as Bob, and I don't know. I think Bob's just going to stay in that zone, and I don't know if Adin Hill is going to be up to Bobrovsky's level, and I think that might swing the series right there, because I will concede certainly that the defense is better, and you can even make a case the depth is better on forwards. I won't make that argument, but I think when it comes to the intangibles and the netminder, I give the edge to Florida.
I would say probably the only time that Adin Hill kind of had to was maybe that game he jumped in when what's his name when the other goalie got hurt in Edmonton. He kind of had to come in and he played really well. Yeah. And so I think that's probably it. But I think you're right though. They haven't been pushed to an elimination game. He hasn't been in that scenario. And any game that's been elimination, they've kind of steamrolled him. So he's had a lot of bounces that way. He's been playing well, and they're obviously playing to his strengths, try to keep pucks to the outside, try to keep guys out of the middle. But again, I think this is a little bit different of an animal for Adin Hill. He's going to have a lot of people in his face. That's the way Florida's been beating everybody. I would say just another thing is that I was telling Merle last night, Barbashev is foaming at the mouth. He still really is upset, has a chip on his shoulder that he was they were willing to let him go and into the expansion draft when he had just had a good season. And so I think that he's going to be really flying. Hopefully that doesn't turn into a penalty. He can get a little bit over aggressive, maybe he takes a run at Bennett or something like that. And maybe takes a penalty early just with the crowd going crazy and all that. But yeah, I think Adin Hill, he's a monster of a guy. If Vegas can kind of play the way they have been, keeping a lot of things to the outside, I think he should be all right. But yeah, I understand what you're saying. All right. Bob is, he's playing lights right now. So hopefully
Merle.
Them.
Merle, I know you wanted me to give my X factors for this series, and maybe I don't have Bob on there, but that's kind of crazy that I don't. Just because he's been such an X factor for this team through the entire playoff run. Do you want me to give my X factors right now?
Yeah, just because we gave some X factors on the podcast.
Yeah.
And, was just looking to see what you had. I like Carlson as mine, the Swede. And it was funny is that me and Miggs were maybe splitting a bottle of red last night. I was looking up the Conn Smythe odds on the score bet in the Barstool Sports book. And I found Carlson at plus 800 and then Barbashev at plus 675. They're only 1 or 2 points behind Eichel, and they've scored more goals if you're looking at that. And then I was thinking maybe they are going to give it to one of those misfits over Eichel if it really comes down to it at the end. But Carlson's my guy. He's plus 800 Conn Smythe. I'm debating sprinkling something on that. I already have Marchessault and Eichel at 7-1. So Carlson's my guy. Yeah, and I'm interested to see who your guys are.
So I'll say this too. If you want to talk, like Carlson scored a goal in the 2-game series regular season games they had. It was an empty net power play goal. Puck line Jesus, as RA likes to call it. Eichel also with a goal, but in that first game, it was Roy, Carrier, and Kolasar those guys had goals. Kolasar had 2 assists. Of course, now we know that fourth line was huge through Dallas, has been huge when they've been put together, Migs, and they're sticking with that, right? Coming into this series, they're going to go with that line. So
yeah,
Eichel with a goal though, and Carlson with a goal.
I think Howden is kind of shook off. He had a little nick in the last series, and they rested him, and then they started moving around lines. But when that fourth line has Roy in the middle, he has Kolasar, and then Carrier just flying around. That's a difficult fourth line because, and I know I said this to Merle, and I've kind of said it around town, is like, if Vegas can recreate the game against Dallas, that game, I don't think they can be beat by many teams when they're just getting the puck low and grinding and doing all that, and the defense is making easy chips. Because like if they've watched any Florida tape, if you turn the puck over in your D zone, Florida's going to be all over you. That's how they just completely manhandled Toronto and even Boston a little bit, a couple turnovers. So if we're talking X factors, I'm going to go back to Barbashev. Merle and I were talking about him last night. That trade just keeps showing how good it is. He's probably going to get a bunch of money next year. I know the pod was talking about it last time. But if he can chip in, make that Eichel line, all the press isn't on Eichel, and, he can get a couple points. I think that just adds to it.
I had a Barbashev as well as the X
So did
factor.
I.
Yeah.
So did I.
Swooped
6
on
goals.
You. Swooped on you, G.
Yeah, you got it in there on me too. I got Barbashev for the Golden Knights. He has 14 points, 6 goals through 16 games. On the Florida side, a similar type guy, a little different game, obviously, but just a guy that is a difference maker when he's rolling. And I don't think he gets enough chatter. He gets a little bit. I know people on our chat love to talk about him in Florida, RA, is Carter Verhaeghe. And Verhaeghe, 6 goals, 9 assists for 15 points in 16 games. He's a sniper, man. And, he plays on that line with Barkov, and like anything can get going for him. He can just be such a difference maker in games and in changing the look of games just because he can bury. So Barbashev and Verhaeghe are my X factors looking at both these teams.
I'm not even sure. Merle, did I say Bob was the X factor? I don't remember the other night. I feel like we recorded Chicken 17 years ago.
How do you think I felt? It was 6 a.m, and that's what I think you brought it up, but then you might not even end up getting your answer in. But
well, I'll give a new one today. Radko Gudas. I think talk about how big and tough Vegas' D is, but I would say before Pietrangelo did the Paul Bunyan thing on what's his face a couple rounds ago. I'm brain fart on
Draisaitl.
Lumberjack. I would say they don't really have a guy who really goes over the edge like that. But Radko Gudas, man, he might make these guys think twice about going into this corner, making this play or whatever. I mean, he brings that dimension. I know people could argue about his analytics and the nerd stats, but he's a guy that you fear, and he's going to intimidate guys, and you win Stanley Cups with guys like that. The defensive defensemen, they're not going to score a lot. They're not going to put a lot of points up, if any, but their thump is in their own end, and I think you go down every cup-winning team, there's one, if not 2 guys like that on the defensive side. So I'm going to go with Radko Gudas for my
Hey, RA.
Yeah.
I was also telling Merle, like, don't you think the guy Montour? I think if I'm looking at the Florida side X Factor, I'm going to put him in there because he's been just logging minutes up and down the ice, playing offensively, playing good defensively. Kind of, I don't want to say it was surprising for me, because he obviously didn't really show this in Buffalo, and now he's really showing it in these playoffs. So, do you think that he can kind of keep that pace? I mean, obviously it's the Cup, but man, he's just been all over the place. So I would say Montour is probably my X factor.
That's a good call. I mean, getting rid of Uyghur obviously opened the door to give him a lot more time. Yeah. And this kid, he's a machine. I think he's in such good shape. They said that at training camp when Maurice was, running the team, grinding them with new skating, and he was looking and smiling, and like Maurice is like, is this guy not doing the laps? So he's keeping an eye on him. He's just in such good shape. His heart rate doesn't go up. I mean, he played 57 minutes that one game, the 4 overtime game, and he could have played another 57. So I know his points kind of tailed off a bit. I know after the Bruins series, he was looking. I think as Conn Smythe, he was probably a favorite. Merle's, I don't know what his odds were back then. He's 200-1 right now. I don't know if he'd be able to do enough in this series to get back on the race. I mean, it might be worth the flyer, but he's a hell of a defenseman. And like I've said on the show, different series, you kind of get different heroes in each series. Like some guys don't match up well. Like, Jason Robertson in the series before Vegas, I don't think he had one goal, maybe 2 points that whole series. And then versus Vegas, I know they lost the series, but he was arguably the best forward. There's just certain matchups, different guys just kind of shine a little bit more. So, I wouldn't be surprised if Montour's a huge factor once again on this one.
Yeah, I've seen the chat is buzzing here. I like this one. Marcia show most goals for the series plus 600. Somebody else put in his first goal tonight plus 1,200.
Yeah.
I like that. I got to do a first goal score tonight. But I'm going to be boots on the ground. We're going to have a Chicklets live stream. The guys will all be watching. I'll be jumping in and out from the game. I don't know. We'll see how the sound is when I'm in the arena. We can have some pirated footage of live game from me on there, right?
Murr, how good is the opening going to be when you're in there and it's rock and then they do that music, that like John Wick music, and that guy gets going? Here. Oh, it's going to be.
I've never been to a game.
No, I never been.
Wow. So. There's nothing. I think that music coming out when they come out is the best. It gets rocking, and that guy, it's nighttime when he rolls that out. It's just like, oh my God, run through a wall. There's nothing better. I love it. They do a great job with that. It'll be exciting tonight. Let's get to some picks, though, boys. Or you got an EBR? We got an EBR rule, Merle. What do you want to get to that?
I just talked about it. I'm gonna have boots on the ground. Our Vegas insider. He scooped up a couple tickets for us. We're gonna be there. EBR rule number 1, if you're at the game, you have to take the home team or the over, because you do not want to be sitting there and a goal is scored and 20,000 people are screaming at you. So you take either one. You don't have to take both. Sometimes I take both, but you got to take at least one because you want to be celebrating with the 20,000. So I'm definitely on Vegas money line to start.
There it is.
Hey, Merle,
EBR rule number 1.
Hey, Merle, you say sometimes you weren't saying sometimes you're betting when you're at a game, right? You were just saying sometimes you take
sometimes I take
home team.
I take both of them sometimes. I'm always betting. I was just betting on the Man City game. I had Man City to win, but I bet second goal. They give them a cheap penalty. So I won a little bit on the Man City, but I lost on the second goal.
I'll kick it off here too, boys. I got my pick tonight, Murr.
All right, I'm ready.
I got one pick and one pick only. I don't know what to call it. The RA. I'm going Vegas, puck line Jesus, minus 1.5, game 1.
Wow. Let me check. I didn't even write down the odds for that. I didn't think
anybody
would be going puck line.
I'm doing it. Game 1. Game 1 only. I'm doing it. I'm coming in hot. 10 days off.
Yeah, roughly 200, depending on
plus 190 Barstool Sportsbook. And
I love it, Army. I love that, man.
Yeah,
go Knights.
That is good. That is really good odds.
I'll ride with you, Army. I'm riding with you. Let's go. Let's go. I'll take the puck line. I'm also on Ivan Barbashev to record a point, minus 105. Let's go, boys.
Let's go.
Yeah.
So I'll pop in next, get this over so you guys can wrap it up. So I'm just gonna go. I got three plays. My big ones.
Oh, we lost them.
All right, let's get some Florida talk. Interrupt our Vegas talk.
Steal the thunder. All right,
absolutely. I gotta admit, every time we have Migs on, I have to bite my tongue and not say that line for the Silence of the Lambs because we have a family-friendly audience. I always gotta bite my tongue. And just to the chat, shout out to our longtime listener Kendria out in Vegas. Yes, I am coming to Vegas. I'll let you know where we're gonna be when we get out there. We got some good stuff planned. So one of our longtime listeners was on the stream. Yeah. Okay. I have
nice.
Love it.
Florida first period tonight plus 105. Florida to win game 1 and win the series plus 220. Let's see here. Obviously, Florida in the game, just the money line tonight, plus 110. Florida puck line, I got it in at plus 246. Florida -0.5, regulation only.
Holy, all right.
Hey, you got a lot of bullets
Hey,
in there. You got a lot of bullets in that gun already.
You
He's
say you
like
like it,
Laura
right?
with the shots parlay.
Florida
Yeah.
+1. Regulation only +180. Florida team total over 2.5. -135. And then I got, and then you'll love this, Merles. I got Florida. Like I put 4 separate bets. Florida to win via sweep, win 4-1, win 4-2, and win 4-3. Because if they win the series, I'll hit one, and then we'll easily pay for the other 3 and still turn a profit. So ideally, a sweep that pays 13-1. So just a little bit of action on the kitty cat.
Oh wow! Hey, we gotta get
know
memesy. Hey, we gotta get memes. We gotta get memes to make a picture of RA with like a Florida hat on, with a tie-dyed Florida Panthers shirt, with like giant basketball tie-dyed Florida Panthers shorts, with Florida Panthers slides, just all in. He's all in.
I don't think I'm allowed to write blogs that long on Barstool to put all those bets in. Holy.
Left side of the menu twice.
Let's get to Migsy. We got kicked out there for a second.
Yeah,
Vegas internet is brutal.
Yeah, it's awful. It's the desert out here. So I'm going to go Golden Knights money line -130, obviously, with the rule number 1 with the Merle EBR. The Smurfs, and we were talking, we're going to go Eichel anytime goal +118. I think he's going to get one. Just go nuts.
Smurf
and then for
pick.
the action,
Love
people, me and the Merle, a little action for us, Merle. I'm going to go goal in the first 5, +190. That's a nice odds. I'm just hoping maybe Vegas, they come out flying, they get a good bounce in the neutral zone. Eichel comes down, maybe roofs it, or Marcia Show, or one of these guys. So hopefully we can get one by Bob early. I don't want Bob to get comfortable. I want him to be playing Florida, playing from behind. So goal first 5, +190.
There it is.
Yeah, this
breaking
internet
up.
here.
Meg's got it in.
Yeah, it's a big problem. For Monday's game, I'm gonna have to find a different office. I might just go right into the arena at Vegas rink and just commandeer the place, especially if they win game 1.
5 dozen Eastern European strippers every day, and you can't get friggin' internet out there. Jesus Christ.
Vegas.
I caught some heat because, dude, it was freezing in Sweden. I left at 4:30 in the morning, so I wore a sweatshirt. And when you're on an airplane, I'm going to give travel tips next year instead of maybe beer league. Once we run out of beer league rules, I'll give travel rules. But you always want to have a long sleeve shirt on those airplanes. They get cold. Then, so I popped out to do the video yesterday in front of the arena, and I didn't have any chiclets on, but I had the Score Bet sweatshirt. So I threw that on. People are like, "Are you nuts? You're in Vegas. It's 100 degrees. You're wearing a hoodie." I just threw it on just to make the video and give the Score Bet some props. But I thought that was some pretty funny comments I caught.
And of course,
it's
Twitter loves being fashion police. Sorry, guys.
Yeah.
I was going to say, RA, that obviously there's more than just the cup riding on this for Vegas as well, which is something we do have to think about when you have that. Where was it? Who threw it out there? What club was it? Who was the guy? I saw that tweet. VIP never-ending lap dances for the Golden Knights or something if they do win this series as well. So a little extra kicker on top of it for the boys, you know?
Yeah, it sounds like a little, getting a little free advertising because that's something you probably want to do in the sneak. Like, hey, tell the boys if they get it done, free cookie shots for the rest of their life. But,
that's what it
free
is.
Advertising.
For sure.
That's all it is. Yeah.
Yeah, people be traveling in for this final, and he's trying to hit up some free advertising. That for sure, already.
Yeah. Hey, it worked. And I mean, we're talking about it right now. Merles, back to the travel. The number one thing I think is these right here, noise buster headphones. If you're traveling on a plane and you don't have noise busters, then you're doing it wrong, man. Especially when you fly as much as you and I do. Well, you more.
Yeah, and I meant to talk about that. I got a little screwed up early, and it had to be the most uneventful trip in Chicklets history of the podcast. Like, I had no issues. Every flight was on time. My bags got checked in. Everything went boom, boom, boom. It never happens that way. I got my own seat on the long flight over here. I had my own 2 seats. And on the flight from Chicago to Vegas, it was just me and then a girl on the aisle. So we had the middle seat open. So it was like the dream trip.
Buddy,
it was great.
You're like Mr. Papa Giorgio in Vegas. Everything was falling into your lap.
I won a few bucks on blackjack last night.
Vegas vacation.
We'll see how the trip to Florida and back goes.
Yeah.
I'm sure that will not go smooth.
Yeah, lots of queens.
Matt Papa Giorgio. Matt Papa Giorgio. I love it, buddy. Well, we've got what do you got?
I'm gonna head down there. I'm gonna be down in the square before the game. I'm gonna bounce around, see what I can get into. I hope some game notes and Chicklets fans. I hope to run into some. See me, say hello, grab some beers, and no shots this early. It's an early game. 5 p.m. the game starts out here, which is just unbelievable. We're gonna have all night afterwards to get into some mischief. And I'm just real excited to get down there and see my first ever Stanley Cup game and game in Vegas.
Oh, no shit. First cup final game ever, huh?
I think so.
That's awesome, man.
I might have been to a Devils game back in like 2002 or something. Did they go? 2003? Yeah. I know I went to a playoff game, but I don't know if it was the finals.
Yeah, they went 2000. They beat Dallas, then they lost to Colorado the next year. Yeah,
I feel like I would remember if it was a final, but I'm gonna just hey, if you believe it. What's the line I used on the Dubas? It's not a lie if you believe it, from George Costanza.
Just Costanza.
Oh, here we go.
Yes,
Angela.
Yes.
Uh-oh.
Angela, we will be live streaming the game tonight, so we'll be on. G will have all the cast of characters rolling, and special guests, of course. You know how G likes to roll them out there, surprise us with guys popping in. The last one was awesome. It was so fun to be on. So please join us, right, RA, tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question, Angela. We should have mentioned it already. Yeah, 8 o'clock. Us Goons. Biz is obviously going to be on TNT. Make sure you check him out there as well. But Crowley always does a terrific job bringing some random guests. We don't even know who they are until they pop on, which gives us a little excitement. But I'm going to be revved up, boys. I've been waiting. We've been waiting so long for this game one to get started. Plus, I got major action going. I'm going to need try to get a nap in before the game, but I don't know if it's going to happen. I'm off.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, I'm at a lacrosse tournament, so whenever I get out of here, I'll get back home. I'll get set up. We'll get dialed in for the game. Thank you, RA, for coming on. Merles, you got everyone's picks written down? You got it all?
I think I have
7 more pens.
RAs. You got it. RAs.
I got to fax them over to him.
Memes already got him, boys. Memes already got him with a funny meme.
Unbelievable.
Check out Spittin' Chicklets memes right now.
Yeah, Chicklets memes to see what he did for RA. I'm sure it's a golden little message put out there, a picture that he put together. But thank you for joining. Thank you to ScoreBet. Thanks, RA, for joining us. Always one of our best guests coming on. Migsy, tough internet in Vegas for Merles and Migsy, but we're grinding. We're making it work for you, the people on the chat, everybody involved. Thanks for following along on our YouTube page and subscribing. So, Merles, one more.
I didn't get all my picks in. I didn't get all.
You didn't get them in?
I got my Vegas. I only did the EZR rule.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's not a long a sheet as RA's, but I got 2 mixer guys for their shots tonight, because I want to be there rooting for the mixer. We got Fedor over 2.5 shots plus 120, and Pietrangelo over 2.5 plus 125. That's 2 guys that love throwing it in the mixer. Great odds. And then I got a guy going to the mixer to get his shots is Sam Bennett from Florida.
Yeah, good call.
Over 2.5 minus 143. Let me tell you Bennett's shot numbers the last few games. 6-3-6, 4-3-3, 4-2-4. Boom. There you go. That's it.
Memes, add another one to my ledger for me.
I love it, Merles. Glad we got everything in. Unbelievable. Good to be back with everybody. I know we missed Singsy today. Singsy messaged me. He's like, sorry, I can't make it. I'm busy today. Oh, my God. I'm sorry I can't make it. I'm like, okay, Singsy. We'll get through it. Look, give him a shout out. Look for Merles tonight down at the game out front. I know they have a lot of Stanley Cup stuff set up out there. Vegas always rolls it out nice. Look for Merles down there to say hello, and then stay tuned for us. We'll come in every game day, and RA, we'll have to have you back again, of course.
Absolutely. Can't wait.
All right. Everybody enjoy the game. We'll see you on the live stream tonight. G, great job. Everyone in the chat, love it. We'll see you next time.
All done. Great job.
Awesome. Thank you, R.